What up, Grizz Nation, and welcome back to another Grizz 901, your number one and favorite post-game show for the Memphis Grizzlies. They get a big win tonight. It was 115 to 110 over the Sacramento, the Beams, the Kings, whatever they are. Sacramento Kings go down tonight 115 to 110. So you know we're going to have a lot of fun tonight. We had a terrific show. I think it was Tuesday. I don't even know what day it is today, but we had an incredible show Tuesday. The chat's already popping. And if you don't know, if you're seeing around, you're looking around like, hey, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of people here because you're probably on Twitter and not on YouTube. So join us over on YouTube at Bluff City Media. And if you want your voice to be heard, if you want to make sure that you get a question, do the super chat. Put it up. I think it's $2. Put it up. Ask your question. Celebrate the win, whatever you want to do. We'll make sure we get to your chat if you hit those. But we're going to break down the game as we always do. Midway through, we have Grizz Trivia, and then we have another look ahead. Ryan came through for us this time, so we have a look ahead. But the Grizzlies do win 115 to 110, and we're going to celebrate here with Nate. Yo. Hello? Hello? Nate. Hey. Nate.
Light the beam. I was at in-game PA announcer in a past life.
Wow.
Ooh, Kings suck. Grizz don't. Let's go.
Wow. All right, that was pretty good. It was well worth whatever was happening. You made me nervous for a second. I wasn't sure what was going on, but light the beam. I love it. Everybody's having a good time with that. So you're becoming everybody's favorite. Not me. I'm the other guy.
I wish that would be Dad too. I'm kidding. My father and I have a great relationship. Just to be clear.
All right, the Grizzlies do get the win 115 to 110 over the Kings, and Ja Morant gets thrown out. There's a lot that's happened tonight. So off the top, man, what you got?
I'll take it. That's what I got. Listen, there is a lot to be really excited about tonight, to be completely honest. There is some clear stuff to not be as excited about. So we'll get to that at some point, I'm sure. But Smart played really well. The Smart haters were starving tonight. He had one bad game. Everybody was off the Smart Express. But I think LaRavia played really well, which was good to see after having a pretty rough game in Dallas. But the one, shout out Santi. That's not the one though. Dez, that was exactly what we were talking about. Right. Dez looked like he was in control tonight. And that was before Ja went out, right? Before Ja went out, he looked like he was in control. We said last game, hey, Dez has got to get it figured out. Yeah. Shots falling, but something's just not quite there. But we weren't super worried about him. It's good to see a night like tonight.
Yeah, it absolutely was. And it was a night that the Grizzlies, if I was to tell you, Nate, that you're going to look down here at the box score and you're going to have Ja Morant going 2 of 13 from the field overall, 0 of 6 from deep. He ended up having 7 assists. I think all those came in the first quarter. I know they came in the first half, but I think the first quarter, he was on fire. But if I told you he was a minus 32, do you think the Grizzlies have a chance in his 28 minutes was a minus 32? Do you think the Grizzlies would have a chance to win that game?
No, the bench was unbelievable.
Bench was
incredible. Ja. I don't know if we want to talk too much about it, so I'll just bring it up now. I think Ja was just sad. I think Ja had a bad day. I literally think Ja was just sad. When things are cooking, usually if Ja's not playing well, but the rest of the team is cooking, he may be frustrated when he gets back on the court. But when he's on the bench, he's getting fired up. And when they had the breakaways and the bench was popping off, he wasn't jumping around. I think he's just sad. I think he had a bad day.
He's just sad.
Bad day, man.
Let's answer this one real quick from Aiden maybe. Why did Ja get thrown out? Well, you see what happened is there's some refs over there. And so they decided that Ja got his Gertrude too much up into DeRozan and caught him a little foul. So Ja got heated. Ja was already pissed off he was already sad tonight. I was wanting to find a meme somehow. It was like, "Where's Jaldo?" Just like "Where's Waldo?" and putting a mini Josh somewhere in place of Waldo, just to have fun at, because he was off tonight completely. But he was. But when we needed him, I think he played well at times. But for the most part, he was just kind of gone throughout the entire night.
Yeah. He, before the refs were ever a big factor, which they were pretty bad all night, but I didn't think they were super impactful until late, right around the time that all that stuff happened. He just looked, like you said, off. Like I said, I genuinely just think like he had a bad day because he's either hurt and I saw him rubbing his back, so it could just be the hips bothering him a little bit, which would be understandable, or he literally just had a bad day because he just didn't look like himself. He wasn't super engaged, so not worried about that. Yeah. Stick around to see if we talk about the refs.
We're gonna get to that. I
know. Stick around. I don't know if we're going to.
I'm trying to hold off on the ref talk first because I know I want to get to it. I would assume you have something on
just if it comes up. Just if it comes up.
Before we get there, because I do want to talk about the refs, but let's hold off on that. Let's talk about the if you're in the chat on YouTube, go ahead, hit the poll. I want to see who they think that might actually be the MVP of this game, because there's so many guys. I actually asked for your help as well as Ryan's help, and was like, hey, who do we put up for the poll tonight? So if you're looking for the poll, it's over on YouTube. Just choose one of the guys. I believe we have Bane, Aldama, Jake LaRavia. Smart. I was trying to remember who I wrote down.
Yeah.
Those 4 guys. So put them up in here. I would love to kind of see that. But overall, let's go through the starters real quick. Brandon Clark, 18 minutes, very pedestrian game. We already talked about Ja Morant, 28 minutes. He was a minus 32. But let's talk about Jaren. Thoughts on Jaren? 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Nothing really going on with 15 points. Is Jaren just a bad night, bad matchup?
No, it's a great matchup for Jaren. Ja and Jaren both should have a great matchup against the Kings. It's like the opposite of Dallas. If the Kings shoot you out of the game, the Kings shoot you out of the game. They have nothing for those guys. You know, it's just one of those nights that they just, like, Ja looked disengaged. And then Jaren looked a little disengaged, but sometimes, you know, you heard Brevin talk about it right at the beginning, I think of the 4th. Was it the beginning of the 4th or end of the 3rd? Anyways, they go to Jaren in the post. He gets an easy bucket, and he's like, they should go to that every single time. And then the next play, they have Jake LaRavia, Marcus Smart dribbling around the perimeter, and the ball doesn't find Jaren for another 5 or 6 possessions. That's the kind of thing where sometimes the Grizzlies, not just the Grizzlies, coaches everywhere, teams everywhere, but we watch it with the Grizzlies because it's so stark and we're so invested. Just make it harder than it has to be. Nah, man.
We're not doing that, Goon. I just wanted to just show how crazy you're going to be tonight, for sure.
Jaren was he was doing great. I mean, he was doing literally fantastic. And all you have to do is give him the ball, and they don't. Sometimes basketball is easy. You don't have to pass the ball around. You just give it to the guy who no one can guard in the post. And
sometimes it's hard to get into a flow. Like there was no flow to this game at all. It looked like it was just kind of back and forth. And I'm not even blaming on the refs at that point. Like, it would just look off. Like there was something. And if you look at it, the Kings wanted to put the Grizzlies into a half-court set. Like, that's really what happened. So that's where I look at it. I think that's where it happened to it.
Yeah, but, you know, that first possession, they come out and they're like, we are giving Jaren Jackson Jr. the basketball. He's getting the basketball. We're giving it to him in the post. He's going to score. You can do that again.
Yeah.
And again and again until they decide to double and stop it. Sometimes you just got to do that. The ball should be in your best player's hands. Same thing at the end of the 3rd quarter. It drove me crazy. You bring Ja Morant in for the last minute, and the only thing he does is take 1 deep 3. Like, brother, why are you bringing Ja Morant into the game to close a quarter if the ball's not going to be in his hands?
Right.
Because he's not a plus defender. He's playing much better on defense. He's playing much harder on defense. He's playing hard on defense when he got ejected. But he's not your best defender by a long shot. So, anyways, there's some things that the Grizzlies need to, not make basketball harder than it has to be.
Yeah, we got a question right here from Lauren, because I thought this was important and I wanted to make sure we got to it. But Lauren, thank you. I think it was her first show last Tuesday. Like I said, I forget what day it is today. It's been a crazy week. But Lauren, thank you. But I want to know why Jenkins didn't challenge the Morant foul call. So I don't know if this is a rule, okay, but I'm assuming because as soon as he got that technical, the iPads went down. There was no arguing about the challenge, right? There was no potential challenge. There was no thought. There was no looking back anymore. Once that actually came out, like once he got that technical, it was kind of thrown out. So my thinking is once there is anything that happens after the foul, such as a free throw, maybe a technical, anything that might come after that, I don't believe you can challenge anymore because you've already moved past, right? So I don't think you can go back past another moment or event in the game. That's my thinking. I don't know that for sure, but that's just my thinking. Your thoughts, Nate?
Even if you could challenge after the tech, why would you challenge after the tech? Just because the refs were trash all night. The Scottie Pippen one was a weird overturn challenge, in my opinion, as well. But I guess they said he hooked him before they got the body, which was incorrect. But it's like just save the challenge. Save the challenge for something else later on down the road.
And they end up using it.
Yeah, you end up using it. It pays off. So, yeah, you just save it because at that point, Ja's gone, right? You're not saving a foul. It's 2 points. It's not a huge momentum swinging moment. I honestly think the momentum goes much more towards the Grizzlies with Ja getting ejected in that scenario. So a challenge just kills that energy with the guys getting pissed off and wanting to come out and smack them.
All right, I like that. That's a good call because that's what I was thinking is there's no way you could challenge it, but then also even if you do challenge it, what's it taking off the board realistically? Maybe 2 free throws, maybe, but realistic, he's going to go ahead and get his other, him getting ejected, those technical free throws. So at that point, you're just kind of moving on to mute point.
We saw what happened when DeRozan had to shoot the ball down the stretch, by the way, and had to be guarded.
Pumpkin. All right, let's finish it out real quick. If you'll do me a favor, y'all been kind of lazy, a little lazy lately. Hit the like button. It really does help the show grow, but also what it does is if you all hit it at the same time, I promise you the algorithm, it gets kind of a jolt. And at that point, it sends it out to more people that are liking the same kind of shows that you're liking, and it helps broaden us. So I'm not asking you to pay money. That's not what we're here for. But if you could hit the like button, especially if you get here, it does help us. And so, and we put the like button free this week, only this week. Next week, it might not be free.
Let's see if we can get someone here I can piss off. Come on, guys.
Real quick. All right, so let's go to it real quick on the rest of the guys. So Wells, he's been okay, not great.
It was always expected when you're playing tougher competition, you're getting into tougher games, which the Kings are not a contender this year, but they're a good team that can beat anyone night in, night out. They can shoot the cover off the ball. So, it's tough. And you're going against guys like DeRozan, who got every foul call known to man tonight. I swear to God, he's prime LeBron with the foul call he was getting. But, tough matchup. I thought he did fine. I thought he held up fine.
Right. All right. Well, let's go to to Desmond Bane. Bane he looked like himself a little bit more. He grabbed a bunch more rebounds. If anybody knows my betting style, I've been betting Bane 5+ rebounds for a long time. He's been cashing on a consistent basis until the last few games. And tonight he ended up with 8 rebounds. A lot of those came in the fourth. I think he had 4 in the fourth, which is big. So half of them came in for the 4. And then you have the 7 assists and then 18 points overall. But the bench as a whole, Aldama, Laravia, Huff, Smart, I'd say let's just do those 4. Pippen was fine. He took too many stupid shots. But let's just say those 4 overall by far played some of the best basketball.
Yes, Pippen was not fine tonight.
No, not
I've been really impressed by Pippen all around. It was a bad night from Scottie. Yeah. Smart looked awesome playing inspired basketball. I thought he played inspired basketball in Dallas. He just had a terrible last few minutes that made it look horrible. Jake looked really good. Really good to see him bounce back again. Santi continues to just impact the game. He's getting a ton of rebounds. He's cash from 3. He's facilitating well. He's making a bunch of smart basketball plays. Like he never looks sped up. Love to see that. We already hit on Dez. Save this guy for last because this is when the game I knew was Vince Carter was over. The momentum Huff stuff in the fourth. I was like, yeah, this game's over. We got that Huff stuff fast break. I was like, yeah, I don't care if it's just a 5-point lead. This thing's done. Yeah.
I like it. All right, real quick, let's move on just for a second. I want to get to this question from Art. Would you play Edey against Porzingis? Porzingis is Saturday. the Grizzlies are not going to get Edey back in time. I don't think he's going to be back in time for the Wizards. I'm going to go try to look through this real quick. Sorry, I've been on my phone trying to get through some of this information that's coming out from the Grizzlies. It's the way that we can get kind of the information is if I can kind of look through DeMichael Cole. And honestly, the chat, you give me as much information as DeMichael Cole does because you're following him as well as who's the other guy? I'm drawing a blank.
I don't know who you're talking about. I wasn't listening.
Covers the Grizzlies, whatever.
Drew Hill?
Who?
Drew Hill.
Drew Hill, DeMichael Cole, amazing. If you don't follow them, follow them. They're some of the best, if not the best. But Taylor Jenkins said the Grizzlies weren't comfortable with where Zach Edey is in his progression. They will continue to monitor him over the next couple of weeks. So, Art, if you didn't see that comes from Taylor Jenkins,
Sick.
Before the game, it was kind of talking about that. So it looks like they're not exactly thrilled with how he's progressing, but he's a 7-footer. They're playing well. This is not a rush to get back kind of an injury for a big guy. So at this point, it's like, hey, we didn't love the evaluation that we got. Let's just kind of hold off another week. That way, one, he's a rookie. It gets him a chance to see more basketball from the sideline, and that is almost more valuable than actually getting those minutes on the court. And so him doing that is going to be good for him. Yeah,
and there's no reason to. Right. They're playing really well. I mean, the only good thing about having your win streak snapped is now you got a number to go beat. So Grizzlies just started their next win streak, and, it's playing really good basketball, man. Seriously. Kip, this is not you. This is an inside joke.
This is definitely an inside joke. But Kip, thank you for this comment. Thank you. I knew I'd get a laugh out of you when I saw it.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah,
it
no
says,
reason
Art
to bring
says,
him back.
Yeah, Art says Gigi's out for 2 more months. That's not true.
6 to 8 weeks is basically 2 months.
No. So they said he's going to be 6 to 8 weeks. So 6,
this week.
But when did that come out? That when did it start?
This week, wasn't it? Sure it's this week that came out.
Okay, then I'm wrong. I thought it was a 6 to 8 weeks from a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, dude. They tried to pull the DoorDash. The Grizzlies did. They tried to pull the DoorDash, like, hey, DoorDash will say, hey, your order's still on time. But for those of us who are Dash Pass members and pay attention, it's like, no, that's 20 minutes later than what you said originally. The Grizzlies said, Gigi Jackson's recovery timeline is still progressing correctly and on schedule. He'll be back in 6 to 8 weeks, aka like 4 to 8 weeks longer than it was supposed to be. Listen, I got DoorDash. I know these games.
I feel you. All right, real quick, let me get to I'm going to get to finding out who the chat picked for the player of the game, and then we'll hit the refs, if that's okay with you, Nate.
Do you want to?
All right, I want to. All right, let's go ahead and look and find out who you chose for the player of the game. All right, the Grizzlies chose, I'm sorry, not the Grizzlies, but you, the crew, chose Marcus Smart with 44%. I was kind of shocked with this, and I know Drew said this should be a landslide, but Jake got 9%, Bane 26%, Aldama 21%, but overall, Marcus Smart with 44% was pretty clutch. So shout out to Marcus Smart, just overall looking at his stats. 1 second. Marcus Smart. Wow, I got to get to the right page. Marcus Smart comes in with 26 minutes, 18 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 of 8 from deep. So a big bounce back game from Marcus Smart after what we had last game. And so shout out to Marcus Smart. Shout out to you all for voting on that because, honestly, I'm having more fun doing that than it is looking at the screen and flipping it that way. So I'm going to let you vote because there's no reason that I need to vote. So thank you for that. All right, we'll be right back. With Nate. Nate, we're going to hit on the is this going to be more of the ref show? So I know Nate's been wanting to hit on it. And so Nate, are you alive? Nate.
Oh, sorry. It took me a second to find the phone. Oh, these ref glasses are crazy, dog. Crazy. I can't see a thing. Wait. Foul. Sorry. No, that was just my kid. That was just my kid breathing on DeMar DeRozan. My fault.
Wow.
What were you talking about?
I was wanting to talk about the referees tonight, Nate. Do you have any thoughts on them?
Dang, I brought the right glasses. Wow. Great timing. Dog. I don't understand the NBA. I watch loads of sports. You watch loads of sports. Here's what I don't understand about the NBA. Why don't they give their officials vision insurance? Like, dog, it's important to be able to go to the optometrist and be able to get your eyes fixed. Like, will you get prescription lenses? These are not prescription, but let's pretend. Got to get contacts, LASIK? Dog, you've got to be able to afford insurance. Or what happens is the biggest star in the entire game on the court gets kicked out because you decide, I'm going to call a foul for him breathing on DeMar DeRozan. And then, by the way, when he gets mad about it, I'm not going to sit there and realize, maybe I made a mistake. No, I've been friends with Mark Davis for too long, so I'm going to go on an ego trip and throw him out of the game. Wait, where's my whistle? I can't see without my glasses, Scoob. Jesus H, dude. You've got to be able to hold these guys accountable. In all seriousness, I watch the NFL. I watch the MLB. Angel Hernandez does not count for this conversation. I've watched loads of sports in my life. I don't understand why the NBA, you consistently see ego stuff. That was an ego throwing Ja Morant out of the game after a horrible call.
I agree.
It's abysmal, and it affects things. By the way, if your sponsor is freaking FanDuel and you got people gambling on these games left and right, your refs can't suck ass. You can't be that bad. If you and me are that bad at our jobs, we're getting fired.
True.
And you can look at the ref lineup if you pay attention on who's coming in and know what's going to happen. Makes it even worse.
Well, that's the bad thing is the referee's job right now is very tough because it is under the microscope. But the problem is there's too much inconsistency. That's just where it all comes from. Like, there's just too much inconsistency because when you're playing this fast, it just seems like the game has gotten so much better. Like, just overall, the game has gotten so much better. The game has gotten so much faster, but it just seems like the referees have kind of just been stagnant and not moving along with the game in a sense. Like, we see this in other sports, and we see it in football now that I think they're changing some things for the better, which you're getting, maybe they're getting help from New York, maybe overturning something a little bit quicker, different things like that, where they're getting a little bit more eyes in the sky. We have the technology now with the eyes in the sky, right? So if we could lean into that just a tiny bit more and maybe figure out a way to adjust what we have going on in life right now, maybe. But the refs are bad. They've been bad. I know we're back-to-back games. It's been bad, but it just feels too soon right now.
Well, and it hasn't been all year. I've not been mad at the officiating pretty much the entire year until the past 2 games. Right. But let me tell you, I watched League Pass and I watch other games and I'm like, yo, this is still a problem. It's going to hit us at some point. And there it is. And it's been building up for years, man. It's been building up for years. It's a mess. And I'm not saying officiating is easy. Anyone who thinks officiating is easy is not paying attention. It's extremely difficult.
Well, it's the same thing as with coaching. Coaching is not easy. All of this, it's a tough job just overall. 100%. And so that's why I favor, all coaches in general. Coaching is very, very hard. I promise if you've never coached anything from little kids to, anything higher than that or reffed anything, if you ever did it one time, you would realize hey, there's a little bit more into this. And I know there's a lot of reasons to critique coaches and referees. I get that completely, but it is a very tough job. It's also a very thankless job, which makes it hard. So
it is. But the easiest part of the job is being able to swallow your ego, realize you messed something up, and then be like, okay, I'm going to make sure I call this on the next for the next guy. Right? Same thing as in the Dallas game. It's not that the Mavs shot so many freaking free throws. Is that with 2-point game, Jaren dribbles down, he gets hacked in the head 3 times, and there's no whistle. And they're like, how is there not a whistle? In what world do you not call that with the way you've been calling this game? And you can clearly see egos getting involved.
Yeah.
And that can't happen, man.
Should we go get the FIBA officials?
I don't know. I think they sent the replacement refs to ref the NBA.
Right.
So
real quick on the game, Nate, looks like King Meek's helping us out. I'm trying to watch it over here, but I'm trying to pay attention to this guy doing 3 blind mice over here.
Who?
The Packers just
Where is he?
tied the game up. But let's go back to something real quick. I want to ask your opinion. And Chad, I want to know your opinion too. I just want to know simple yes or no. I think that'll be, and I'll understand what you're getting at. The answer to this question is, has the game of the NBA, has the game gotten better? Like just overall. And yes or no in the chat is all I'm asking for. But Nate, your thoughts. Has the game gotten better? Because we're in the 80s, right? With, that's where I go back to is the 80s when it was really on TV a lot and kind of just the bird, I guess Bird and MJ kind of just took it to another level. I think that's really the trajectory I'm looking at, right? Because that's as long as I've been alive. So just kind of looking at it that way, I feel like the game has gotten better.
It depends on like what timeline you're going off of and your criteria. And everyone in the chat saying no. I think the answer is pretty clearly yes. Like you've got Steph Curry's, you've got LeBron's, and listen, Bird, I wasn't alive for this, but Bird, Magic, Jordan, unbelievable, amazing. I think the game has gotten better. The product has gotten better as a whole through that, right? The players go crazy. They play awesome basketball. They do freaky things that were never done before. I think the reason a lot of people want to say no, and I do agree with this, is, brother, I want to see guys be able to play hard-nosed basketball. That's like something that you don't get anymore. Because if you get too handsy, you're calling a foul. Like, look at the foul that they just called against Jake and Ja on the Rosen. That cannot be a foul in the NBA. That can't be a foul in the NBA, and you sit there and say, hey, this is a great, amazing product. That's not the game. There's so much stuff that happens that's not in the spirit of the game. Hey, I'm going to be in a dead sprint, but then I'm going to stop and pull up and jump back into the defender, and that's free throws for me. Can't be in the game. Like, there's so much stuff you've got to take out of the game for it to be what it needs to be. I think it's easy to ignore things like Steph Curry, like Ja Morant, like Anthony Edwards, like these just freaky, athletic, unbelievably talented guys. And so I want to say the game has gotten better because of that. At the same time, the way the rules are written now and the way the game is officiated now has led it to be played in a way that I think everyone knows it's not in the spirit of the game. I think that's the issue. Like, seeing those kind of foul calls, seeing guys play for those kind of foul calls is not in the spirit of the game. And that's what gets people grossed out. And it will make the product go into the decline if they don't fix it. Mark my words. If they can't fix that, it will go into the decline. Because people don't want to watch something that it's not something they believe in and they can get invested in emotionally.
Yeah. Well, looking at just all these comments, one, thank you. This helps me find out, because I don't ever want to be the guy who's the smartest guy in the room. One, that will probably never happen in my life. I don't think I've ever been the smartest guy in any room unless I'm with maybe some kids, and they're probably pretty close than I want to account for. But I always like to ask, because I don't want to ever just assume that everybody thinks like me. I like to find out what you're thinking. And so I appreciate that, because there's been, there's so much good discussion. I wanted the just simple yes or no to see kind of what you're thinking. But after that, you took it upon yourself to kind of look through the chat and kind of see, the reasonings. And these are kind of what I'm giving. But a lot of people, I know Wayno said the players have gotten better, but the game, no. And I know the game has changed for sure. But what I see is when Steph came in, Steph kind of just, I guess, introduced the 3-point and made it more fun in a sense, which moved everybody back. I think now that we're seeing everybody's kind of moved back, I think it's starting to move into the paint more and to be more of a skill position that if you can still shoot 3-pointers, you're going to be good. But if you can get into the paint, you can also dominate games. If you can be good defensively, you can still dominate games. Look at the Rockets. The Rockets are not that good, but they're playing really good defensively. So I think the game's in a good spot. I don't know if it's better, but if you had to ask me and I had to give you an answer, I would say yes. But I think you can argue both ways, and I think that's why it's a really great question. Forgot who put that up here. Let me put you back up here real quick because Zoomer Cage, shout to you. One, thank you. This is what the chat's all about.
Question.
So thank you for that. But it's definitely different, but it's I think it's more exciting than it ever has been. But man, take me back to the 90s. I love 90s basketball.
That's not surprising. Feed the hand, Daniel.
Yes. Put into the post, baby. Let's run that triangle.
There's a lot of things that I think we should be thankful for and not take for granted. You get to see things that have never happened in human history. Right? This guy's just doing freaky stuff. But like you're saying, at the same time, dude, it's just too many things aren't in the spirit of the game. It's component decline. A lot of it goes with how the game's officiated, which may not be all the officials' fault, right? Sometimes you got to change the rules. Sometimes you got to change the rules so the officials are allowed to call the game in a way that is how it's meant to be.
No doubt.
But also call the same fouls on Steph Curry that you're going to call on Jalen Wells too. Favorable whistles shouldn't be a thing. Sorry. That just popped in my head. Jalen Wells keeps getting these tough fouls guarding these stars. And I'm like, dude, you don't call it the other way. Come on.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, so listen, this is a good transition part for my Grizz Trivia. This is perfect. Oh, God. I don't want to go too much farther because this is a perfect transition to go to Grizz Trivia. But do me a favor. I looked at a lot of our numbers today, and they've been absolutely amazing. And we consistently, there's so many of you that are staying from the start to the finish of the show. But there are some that kind of come and go and drop in and drop out. If you're missing Ryan's part, tonight was one of his longest one. I think he's ever done, 2 minutes and 40 seconds. I'm going to do that a little after we do Grizz Trivia. But the look ahead that Ryan's doing, it's for the Boston Celtics, so it should be a little bit more fun. But he gets into a lot of their numbers. And so if you're a numbers person, stick around for that. But we'll get into that. I put up one new slide. I'm going to try to work in some video for it at some point, but there wasn't nothing I found that was easy, and I'm tired. So that's on me. But let's go to Grizz Trivia. I think you're going to really like this one tonight. All right, Nate. Big question for you tonight, Nate.
Okay.
The Grizzlies, this is a two-part question. The Grizzlies have attempted more three-point field goals than their opponent in how many games? So currently this season, they have played 23 games. We've talked a lot about the three-point shooting. How many times have they attempted more three-point attempts than their opponent?
I would not say a lot. I would imagine it's a 23.
23 games. The Grizzlies are now 15-8. Let me do my math right. Yeah, that's 23.
Is it an extreme number? Just give me that. It's an extreme number.
I don't think it's extreme, no.
Okay. I'll say more than their opponent.
Damn, somebody got it.
I don't think it's a lot.
I love the chat. Like, there's so many good answers.
They played 23?
23 games. They're 15-8.
I'm going to go... I want to say 12, but I don't think it's been more than half. I'll say 10.
That's a good answer. The answer is 11. Drew Gann, look at you, Drew, coming out of nowhere with 11. I like that. So the Grizzlies, out of those 11 games, Nate, where they've shot, where they made more three-point field goals They made more. Okay. When they've made more 3-point field goals than the opposing team, what is their record in those 11?
When they've made more than
They've made more out of those 11 games.
I don't know how many have they one of those. I would say whatever an O.
11-0.
When they shoot more, they've won every time.
When they've made more 3-point field goals, they've won every time.
I thought we were talking about attempted more.
I said that first, but I'm saying when they've made more.
Okay, when they've made more, they've won them all.
Yep.
How many is that?
11.
Well, how many times have they shot more?
11.
So every time they shoot more threes than the other team, they win.
Yes.
This is what I said at the very beginning of this.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like it all goes together. It's crazy.
Pissing me off. You're like, no. And I was like, okay, then it can't be 11.
No, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. So
Okay,
it's
cool.
crazy that when they shoot and make more in those 11 of the 23 games, they're literally winning all of them. And so I'm not saying that they need to keep shooting more 3-pointers, but it's just if you look at that, it just maybe that's the reason they keep pushing and they're shooting and attempting more. It's crazy how that's working out. I don't know if I agree with that. Do you agree with trays and lays? That's what we've been we've been kind of talking through the Jenkins timeline.
Everyone but Bane. Bane needs to shoot at every level.
I hope Smart don't get this stat.
Listen, man, he's
Shut it down.
He does. He was making them tonight. He's making them tonight. Till the end, he got some tired legs. But yeah, I think pretty much everyone other than Bane. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else I can think of. Ja gets that little midi floater. Branding is that midi floater, but the only person who needs to be taking mid-range jump shots for this team is Dez. I guess if Jaren can make them, because he's made them when he's attempted like the 4 of his career. But clearly that is game. But other than that, yeah, like what do you really want these dudes? Do you want Ja Morant taking a bunch of middies or Santi Aldama taking a bunch of middies? We can get DeMar DeRozan if we want to do that.
No, I'm good, man. I'm good. Real quick, BCM's asking, Grizzlies have a 3-point target line. How many should they shoot? So I'm going to try to do some reconnaissance real quick. I'm going to see if I can do something and find out. I don't know. I don't even know where to go with this stat. Like tonight they shot 38. If we can look through the stats and where's Sean Coleman when we need him? My God, like what is he doing? Is he over there in spaces, like just hanging out with his friends, like just talking?
I don't know where Sean is, man. Sean got a kid and dropped off more than I did.
Yeah, we don't even know.
I don't know where Sean is.
Is Sean our friend anymore? Somebody call Sean.
I haven't seen Sean. I haven't even seen Sean's tweets in a while. It feels like since the beginning of the season. Hope he's okay.
He literally, you muted him because he's always tweeting.
I didn't mute him. Is he blue checked?
Maybe.
If he's not blue checked, your tweets are getting hidden. Telling you.
All right.
It's science.
Science. Let me. I'm sorry it's taking so long. I have no way to finding it. I don't know where to look for that real quick. But Lightning DJ saying 25 to 30 a game. Kendarius Challiver saying 38 to 40. So maybe that's kind of where we're looking at. I think that 35 is a good number because we're scoring so much in the paint. The reason our attempts are opening up the paint, even though some people might not agree, our attempts are opening up the paint just because we are, we're shooting okay percent. I don't know in this season what it is. I need my computer and I'm trying not to use it if I don't have to F everything up right now.
I think it's a little chicken or the egg. Is it opening up the paint because of the attempts, or is the ability to get into the paint opening up more attempts for you to be able to make? I don't know.
BC, I'm saying look at the 11 games and average it. I will. I just can't look at them individually. I only have the stat. Okay. I haven't broke down all the games. I haven't done that. I have other stuff to do at the moment. That's a good idea. I'll go back and look it out. But anything else on this game just overall before we kind of look ahead and maybe just kind of wrap up the rest of this?
No, man, it was great to see Great to see Dez turn it on this game. It was great to see a bunch of bounce back from a lot of guys, and bad day at the office for Ja. He'll be fine.
What's he eating tonight for dinner?
Ja?
If you had a guess.
I don't know. Sacramento tears?
Wow. I like that.
I don't know.
What do you think? So what would you, after you lead the game, you're pissed off, right? Your team wins, but you're pissed off. You just got ejected, but you're still pissed off. No matter if you won or not, you're still pissed off. What are you going home to eat? Like, I don't know.
With Ja Morant money, I'm shipping in a zebra. Frying it up.
Drew said Skittles.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
All right, let's something spicy. Who is that?
Dude, it might be wings, actually. That might be the go-to.
I like that.
That might be the go-to.
What about Sacramento? It says Sacramento Queens, but I was thinking Sacramento Wings. We kind of go to Nutty Bars. I like that.
Nutty Bars. I'm surprised. Listen, we have a very wholesome chat. I was expecting to see some things we couldn't put up.
Don't entice them. God, that's not good. All right. Real quick, what we do, before we kind of get off the show, we end the show with always looking ahead to the next game. So Ryan always words a little iffy. Most of the time helps us out with a nice little audio that we put to a video. But we always do this. And so if you ever want to come in here and look ahead to the next game, even though we don't have a show, it is the Boston Celtics, and Ryan helps us out right here.
Let's take a look ahead to Saturday night's matchup at the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics are 18-4. This is going to be their third game in 4 days for Boston, but all of these games have been at home. So it may not be as big of a fatigue factor since there was no travel involved. They got to sleep in their beds for 4 nights in a row. I wouldn't expect that to be much of a difference for the Grizzlies coming into this game. Celtics net rating 10.2, which is second in the league. Obviously, this is a team that is notoriously known for their three-point shooting, and this is probably where the game is going to be decided on Saturday. They're averaging 19 three-pointers made on 51 three-point attempts per game. That's 37.6%. 47.6% of their points come from their threes, which is obviously number one in the league. Points in the paint for the Boston Celtics, on the opposite end of the spectrum, about 33% of their points are coming in the paint, which is dead last in the league by a pretty significant margin. I think the next closest team, or the next worst team, I should say, is the Charlotte Hornets, and they're like 37% points in the paint. So the Boston Celtics are truly a team who do not care about anything inside the paint and are willing to shoot as many threes that you are willing to give them. So for the Grizzlies, we've had problems with that in the past, with the overhelping and just leaving three-point shooters wide open. Expect this a lot for the Boston Celtics. A lot of initial drive and kick and 5 out, collapse or create some help defense from the Grizzlies, and they kick it out to the open man who's going to shoot that three-point attempt. Injury-wise for the Boston Celtics, Tatum and Drew Holiday were day-to-day for both with knee injuries. They did not play last night against the Detroit Pistons, but still didn't matter. The Celtics won anyway. So we got a game of complete opposites. A barrage of threes from the Boston Celtics, and they're really good at finishing them. And a team in the Grizzlies who are one of the best points in the paint teams. So that will be an interesting dynamic to see. Can the Grizzlies build a lead off the backs of their points in the paint? And will there be a run from the Celtics at some point if the Celtics are down with a barrage of three-pointers made? So a really interesting game on Saturday. Really excited to see what the outcome of it will be.
All right, let's get to a little bit of that. And I do have some stats through the three-point, because that's obviously what the talk of all this is. The Grizzlies, they ranked 14th in the league in three-point attempts at 37.3. They ranked 16th in the league at three-pointers made at 13th. If you look at the three-point percentage, the Grizzlies are right there at the same spot, 17th at 34.8% in three-point percentage. So that's pretty close to what I kind of expected, but you're looking at 37.3. So if they brought that back a little bit and still made the same amount, that obviously gets your percentage closer to 37, 38, where you want to be at. And so at the end of the day, that's kind of what we're looking at. But right now, currently, the Lions have just won by 3 points off of a field goal. The game is over 34-31. I'll be covering all of that in the morning. If you want to check out Driving the Line, we will be on at 9 a.m. Central. We'll have all the full breakdown of that, as well as college football this weekend, as well as the NFL football this Sunday. And then I'll be on the Primetime Live. I'm hosting both of those this weekend. It's live on Stadium as well. You can find it on Roku, DirecTV, Amazon Prime, wherever. We're on all those stations, but we'll be on right before an hour before the game starts on Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football. But your Lions, how you feeling?
King of the North, baby.
Oh, my God.
King of the North.
They didn't cover, if you're wondering.
I don't care. I can't bet in this state. Got stupid prize picks.
All right. Let's go through real quick. I'm trying to find where I want to go. Remember, Jaylen Brown went out tonight. Anybody know what's going on with him if he's completely out?
Probably got his feelings hurt.
Chat, let us know if you find out why he might have went out. But it looks like Jaylen Brown got hurt tonight. Underdog NBA put it out that
tonight.
Sorry,
tonight.
Jalen Brunson. I saw Jalen. My
okay.
bad. So I apologize. So it was not Jalen Brown. It was Jalen Brunson. So even though they spell it different, but your thoughts on them? They're going to jack up a lot of threes. The Grizzlies are honestly the best team against the 3-pointer. I know you might not realize that, but they're the best team against the 3-pointer. Does that shock you?
Not really. It's shocking if you just think about the Grizzlies' past, because they just seem to give up every three in the world, especially last year. But I think that they have played a really, really good team defense this year. That they overhelp for sure still sometimes, but you run into variants like the Bulls game where sometimes they just start knocking them down left and right, and there's not much you can do about it. But I think for the most part, they force teams to earn their shots, and that's all you can really do. Not always, clearly, but a decent amount of the time. That could change a lot when they play the Celtics, because those guys, they just make a bunch of threes. But I'm not surprised to hear about for the Grizzlies. I mean, you just always worry playing the Celtics, man. So they're not going to miss from three. It's tough.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is if they're on, they're going to win. Like, that's just the truth. Like, if they have the ability to knock down a bunch of these threes, they're going to win. But the Grizzlies have been good at guarding the 3-point. I believe it was Art or somebody that said that they've not been good. They actually have been good against the 3-point line. What up, Robbie? But it will be definitely a game that you're going to have Wells on Brown. And then at that point, do you have Clark on Porzingis? Do you have Jaren on Tatum? This is an issue.
Jaren's played really well where I think you can put on almost anybody and he's going to be okay. I don't know.
That's the issue.
I think you kind of got to put Jaren on Porzingis because there's no free rolling. Like, there's nobody you can help off of on that team. Right. So I think the Grizzlies have to try playing straight up defense. And then just try and run guys off the 3-point line. So another thing they've done really well this year is there's been very few short closeouts. Usually, if anything, they're running guys off the line. But the thing you can't do is then let it swing to somebody who's wide open because they'll just murder you.
And the other good thing is they're going to be playing on a back-to-back, which they will be at home. And I know Ryan talked about that, but they played Wednesday and they're off tonight, and then they play Friday and Saturday, which, as he was mentioning, that they are all at home. But the last game, they won against the Pistons. they started Sam Hauser, Horford, Porzingis, White, and Brown, right? So Tatum got the rest. And who else did he say got the rest? Trying to think.
I don't know.
Either way, you have Peyton Pritchard that comes off the bench. And so it's going to be difficult because Al Horford's still out there. If Al Horford's starting next to Porzingis, then you can go Jaren on Porzingis, and then you can go Clark against Horford. And then I'm okay with having Huff on Porzingis. The only problem is Porzingis is going to try to stretch everything. So at that point, can you put a Wells and even can you go Wells at that point on Tatum? That's the issue. Is they have a good amount of length, and then Brown wants to drive, and so at that point it's got to be Bane on Brown and then Derek White with Ja. That's how it's going to work out. Obviously, the Grizzlies play 72 players per game, so who knows what the matchups might look like. But I think to start the game and to close the game, that's kind of what we're looking at, as well as Marcus Smart's going to be there, especially going back to Boston.
Yeah. I mean, I think it should be a fun game. I think the Grizzlies have been playing really, really good basketball. I thought they played really well in Dallas against an extremely tough team for them. Just went poorly at the end. And tonight was just one of those nights where, your best player doesn't play well, so it kind of overshadows it. But the team as a whole played really well. So they're playing a lot of good basketball. If you get guys like Santi to contribute, that's going to be the big thing. Can your role guys contribute the way that the Boston role guys do?
Right. Yeah. That's going to be the biggest thing. We'll not have a show for that game, but I believe the Grizzlies did pick up another game on the schedule. I know me and you have not spoken about that. I think it's Friday the 13th, but
Spooky.
Looks like we're playing on Friday the 13th of December, right? So 7 o'clock start. So you're looking at 9:30-ish time. I think I can do that. I know my daughter has a game that night. And so that would be the next game that I assume that we'll do, because we're off Saturday, Sunday, and then it's the Cup week, which there's a lot of teams that are playing. There's a lot of teams that aren't playing, but the Grizzlies do not play until Friday. And then after that, it's the 19th, which is Thursday, right? So 13th and the 19th are the two next shows here. And after that, we're getting to the Christmas time. So that's the only thing that we have so far. Real quick, because I saw Kendarius Tolliver with this, the X Factor. I think this would be kind of cool to start doing. Let's start doing our X Factors for the next game, whether we actually cover the game or not. X Factor for the Grizzlies at Boston. I'm going to try to think as well. He says, so Kendarius Tolliver says Santi is his X Factor.
That's who I'm leaning towards.
I'm going to go Jalen Wells. Jalen Wells has looked like a pumpkin as of late. I think if he can knock down some three-pointers to help keep the Grizzlies close, if he can be a good defensive guard, maybe they're able to go with Jalen Wells and Marcus Smart, who's going back to Boston, who has a lot to prove. If you can put him on Jalen Wells on Jalen Brown, and then you can have Marcus Smart on Tatum, then you can help facilitate getting away from Clark, right? And then you have Jaren Porzingis. I think at that point, Horford's not playing to close the game. So I'm going to go Jalen Wells.
I can't say Jalen Wells. I think if Jalen Wells doesn't play super well, it doesn't sink you either. I feel like your X Factor's got to be someone who, if they play poorly, it's going to sink you. I think other guys could step up in Jalen Wells' absence and kind of make up for it. I think Santi's one of those guys that has to be knocking down his shots, making smart plays, and rebounding for you to be able to win.
As Smooth Southpaw, shout out to you, Smooth Southpaw. I think I saw you last time, but shout out to you. But yeah, Santi, Tim Borsa, Jaren's 2 tonight. Big.
Yep. Santi's been playing awesome, man. So that you could say Smart. Smart is a viable option for that too.
You could. Say what you want, man. Say with your chest.
One pride. I don't know. We'll see. It's kind of a house money game almost, right? No one expects you to win that game.
So who's your guy?
I'm going with Santi. I'm still sticking with Santi.
All right. You got Santi. I got Wells. We'll kind of play with that a little bit because I think that's fun. And so thank you, Kendarius, for having that. I think we leave the show with our X Factor for the next game. Just somebody that we're looking at that could contribute, could be really big. So I got Wells. You got Santi. A lot of people had different guys in the chat. But thank you all for kind of hanging out with us. Smart back in Boston, man. That could be a lot of fun. And so I hope it goes well for him. I hope he doesn't turn into a pumpkin when he goes back, because that could be really bad. But closing thoughts, Nate.
You keep talking about pumpkins. I'm going to get some pumpkin pie. That's the main thing on my mind right now.
I set you up for a Detroit fan.
That's all I need to say. Their play speaks for itself.
All right, we have a we always have a fun night here. There's going to be a lot less shows through December from what we look at with the schedule, but everything heats up in January, February, and March. It kind of just goes crazy. I believe they have 16 games in March, I believe, and then so we're going to be covering a lot. And so King Meek's trying to push this meet and greet at my house on the 19th, but you can't come in. No, we're going to try to get you a game. I think when you come in town, we actually might talk about it after the show, but trying to see when you're coming to town, if it's even possible with my schedule, your schedule. And so it could be a good time, but I hope that we can all get together, whether it's just me and you hanging out with our families and anybody that wants to kind of come say hello. That would be cool. I'd love to see people, shake your hand, dap you up a little bit, whatever we can. So, but that's all we got. It's been always a fun time here hanging out with you. We always have a good time, but we always want to be thankful for the chat as always, popping as always. But that's all we got. We'll see you Friday the 13th. Should be a fun show. Maybe Nate will come out with some more gimmicks.
Spooky.
All right, we'll see you on the 13th. Be nice and tell your friends.